I get to the bathroom, and this is when I realize that this is some shit. I'm on some fucking shit right now. What's good, cool kids? My name is Quick Cool, and I make sonic, studio art, spiritual, and spontaneous content here. And if you fuck with that, you fuck with me, then I fuck with you. We family. Hit that subscribe button to never miss a beat. And as you can tell from the topic of this, for the title of this video, what the topic is, what we talking about, what we getting into. And yeah, this is gonna be a good one. So just, you know, grab a cup of coffee or a drink or a snack, a friend, whatever, and let's just vibe out, because this is going to be really funny, really informative. So we really are talking about harm reduction things, and you know, just overall vibe in terms of just the realm of psychedelics. Okay, so right off the bat, if you don't know what psychedelics are, and let me just actually pull this up for you so I can actually just, you know, we want to be, you know, as accurate as possible. Psychedelics are a class of hallucinogenic drugs whose primary effect is to trigger non-ordinary states of consciousness via serotonin 2A receptor agonism. This causes specific psychological, visual, and auditory changes, and often a substantially altered state of consciousness. So that's what psychedelics are on a more, like, I guess, in a definition sense. But you really can't, and I had like an experience with one of my friends a while back, and she was like, you know, like, why are we don't look up a drug, like don't look up what you know want it to do for you, or like look up anything. And it's cool to research. I'm not saying don't do your research, because when it comes to these different plant medicines and these different property, like psychedelic properties and psychedelic drugs, you really need to do your research wholeheartedly before you know, embark on the journey. But just really, when you really, you know, don't do too much research, don't do too much kind of like searching out there for answers. Like, that's what the actual psychedelic is for. And you really just want to kind of experience what it does for you and to you, because everyone is different. And my experience with shrooms has been very like amazing, number one, but each time has been so different and so like, what the hell is going on? Like, each time has been so cool and just so different for me that I know that it's something that you really can't research. You really can't, there's not even enough of it. Like, there's not enough research for this thing. Like, you will never be able to kind of conceptualize this thing enough. So my first time dabbling with psychedelics, so I remember just really wanting to kind of have a psychedelic experience. I was kind of, not that I was over weed or anything, but I was just kind of like, I want something different. I want to do something different. I want to kind of like move outside of the states of being stuck, or you know, what indica will do to you, or a sativa kind of makes you social. But just kind of, I want to move more into like uncharted territory when it comes to kind of being stimulated in a hallucinogenic or psychotropic sense, right? I wanted to experience something far greater, far deeper. And I'm not saying that you can actually really have a lot of like real psychedelic experiences on weed, but you really have to do a lot of it. So I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to see what could come of other plants and other, you know, things of the earth. So I reached out to a friend and I was like, you know what, I'm really trying to get into, because I knew that she, you know, she was a plug, and I knew she was selling some stuff, and I was just like, let me, you know, figure out what's going on. So I reached out to her and I was like, you know what, I really want to try this. And she was like, okay, cool, you know, this is how much this costs, this is how much this costs. And I was like, wow, this is like kind of for people to really swear off of this. Like, I think in the black community, a lot of people think that shrooms are a white people thing, or just psychedelics in general. They think that white people specifically, that is for them, that is catered to them. And I think that is such an ignorant and just really just outlandish point of view. And I understand if one would be like, you know, oh, I don't really think that I'm ready mentally for these things, but not like, oh, this is just for white people. This is not for people of color. This is not for people who look like you and I. I want to just dispel that myth right now. Psychedelics are for everyone. Psychedelics are especially for people who have just a lot of trauma, just deeply rooted trauma. Like this can really heal you in a lot of different ways, and it's actually has healed me. My last psychedelic shroom trip, has really kind of healed me, but we're gonna get into that. So yeah, I reached out to her. I picked up the bada boom bada bang and got back to my, you know, my crib, my friend, my best friend, and we really was, I wanted to share the experience, and I was like, you know, I don't think I want to do this alone, because I just don't want to do it alone for my first time. So we you know, we did the thing. We actually made it into a tea. We made shroom tea, and we also, so we made shroom tea, and you know, it didn't really taste like anything. It was pretty cool. It was actually very it felt very like peaceful, and it felt very kind of soft, and it felt very peaceful. That's the way I can describe it, like tea and in the morning, like it just felt really peaceful. But then we weren't really feeling anything, and I know that, you know, my plug, she actually gave us some, you know, some tabs. And if you don't know what tabs are actually tabs of LSD. LSD is acid, and we was like, we don't feel anything. I don't know if this is working. I don't know if she sold us something wrong. Like, I don't know what's going on. So we took the tabs. Bruh. We were up for so long, but we didn't really think that it was the psychedelic drugs. Like, I didn't experience, and she didn't either, like any intense visuals or anything like that. We weren't like immobilized or anything like that. We weren't set to just one spot. We didn't have any like intense paranoia. It was none of that. It was just really, we got the vivid colors and things like that, but we didn't get anything farther than just vivid colors. We weren't having any profound kind of thought patterns or thought loops or any of that. So I think that I chucked that experience up to just really not having a dose. It probably was a legit micro dose of each thing. But we did stay up like all day, and that was a really interesting part of the experience, that we stayed up a long time. Like, we didn't go to sleep until like 8 the next day, like 9 the next day. I don't know. But then my second time doing shrooms was actually on my birthday. Last year. I'm a Leo, August 10th. What's good? And I was getting my tattoo artist Purple, he's actually from off the Black Ink crew, and he was saying, like, you know, I got some shrooms if you want to try some shrooms, definitely just take these, see, because he was a super like wilderness guy. Like, he was really like, he was a real hippie, for real. So he was like, take these shrooms, and, you know, because we were going to LA, me and my other friend, and he was like, you know, just tell me how this experience has happened, you know, has went for you. So in LA, I had my own fair dose, right? I wasn't sharing it with anyone. My friend was kind of scared to take them. But, you know, what I will say is that was a different experience. I actually kind of had a lot of profound inner thoughts. My inner voice was much greater. Like, I heard a lot of my inner voice, and you know, I was in LA, so we were driving on a highway through Malibu. It was beautiful. Like, I seen so much beauty in everything, and I just couldn't wrap my head around how this thing, like what was going on, and like how this actual plant, how these little tiny things were really making me feel so deeply connected to everything. And it was weird because they said that you're not supposed to do shrooms in like an unfamiliar setting. And I was in a car for most of the time, and I get super car sick. That's just something that really is a thing for me. I really hate being in a car for more than like an hour. And shrooms kind of fuck with your stomach a little bit, like once you go up in doses. But it was like a mild kind of like nausea. It wasn't like super crazy. Like, it was kind of just like an upset stomach I was feeling. And I really, just the experience that I was having was kind of canceling those things out. I really just was like, whoa, like, this is beautiful. Fuck my stomach, like, and I'm just about to just chill and experience and look at these fucking palm trees and the beaches, and and the vibes. It was awesome. Like, I really loved that experience, and I felt like that was a true microdose, where I got the visuals and I got a little bit of the like the inner speech and the kind of thoughts. So fast forward to about a week ago. Yo, fast forward to about a week ago when I had a real fucking tripped out fucking experience. Like, so I've been recently listening to and just like getting into Terrence Mckenna, and Terrence Mckenna is like the fucking psychedelic god. Like, he talks about just so many, and not just psychedelics. I encourage everyone to really go and research and look up Terrence Mckenna and listen to his talks about just life and perception and like psychedelics and just like spirituality and God and how we conceptualize things. Is very, very profound, like highbrow conversations about these very, very deep things that we all kind of think about like on a day-to-day. Like, we are thinking about, like, you know, the meaning of life and God, and, you know, whether we should, you know, explore different things with whatever. Like, we are definitely always thinking about those things, and he just really kind of puts a lot of the thoughts into real, you know, sentences and kind of things that we kind of ways. He puts it in ways in which we can kind of connect to, where it doesn't feel like we are embarrassed to think these things. So Terrence Mckenna talks of this proper or suggested shroom experience of the shroom experiences that you should have, you know, and one of them is just taking about 5 to 7 grams in a dark room and just letting, or a dimly lit room, and just letting things happen, surrendering yourself to the experience. And that is something that I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to plan to do it. And I just, you know, I always had it in the back of my head. You know, I always kept that locked in my head. Like, this is what I want to do one day. I want to do this one day. I don't know if it's going to be now. I don't know if it's going to be years from now, but I want to do this one day. So I remember my best friend, she invited me over to her house because she has a juicing company. Check her juicing company out. I'll put the link in the description, and also just, you know, she's really a good time. She's awesome. But yes, if you're in like the tri-state area, she will definitely deliver to you. So yeah, that's a plug for her. But she invited me over to her house, you know, just to kind of make a few juices, and then we were going to have a meditation type of, you know, experience. And I'm getting into meditation like now. I'm getting into shadow work, all those different things, and those are all different videos. But, you know, we set out to just meditate that day. So I went over with my shroom. She has a scale, and I was like, I'm gonna scale these up real quick, you know, make sure that we're having a proper microdose. You know, she really didn't take them that night, but I took them that night, and she told me, like, before we even did anything, before shit got real, for real, before shit got real, she told me my scale is not really that accurate, so just be careful. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I've always, listening to Terrence Mckenna, he always talks about how, like, people are shocked at how much shrooms you have to take to actually break through. Like, how much shrooms you actually have to take for it to be 5 to 7 grams. And I'm looking at pictures online at what an eighth looks like, what 5 grams looks like, you know, all those different things. Like, so I'm like laying it all out. I'm like, okay, cool. This is like a microdose. Like, I lay out probably what looks to be, to me, a microdose. Listen, guys, I laid out what looked to be, to me, a microdose. We sit down and we in a room. It's a really beautiful, nice red lit room. And she puts on this amazing, if I can find it, I would definitely put it in the description box. She put on this amazing meditation. I've always thought of meditation to be, or I'll say, like, I've always heard in my head like a white woman or a white man whenever I thought about meditation. But I never thought of like I know this sounds so silly. I know it sounds so freaking like loco right now. Like, I never thought of like a black meditation, kind of like guided meditation. And she put on this amazing guided meditation by this black woman. And when I tell you, this is after I took like the dose that I took, which was, you know, now that I'm outside of that experience. I know that it was about 6 grams, and I was just sinking into the fucking floor, guys. I felt like I was really becoming nothing, like literally. The meditation was just so profound, like just the wording and the spiritual elements, the African spiritual elements to the meditation. It was just amazing. I felt like I really truly needed that, and I feel like I want to do more meditation in a psychedelic way, but just normally too. Like and watching black orators and like guided like spiritual, you know, like I don't know, I just love, they just really blew my fucking mind. So the crazy part of this experience, the craziest part of this whole experience is that, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck, like you're really gonna trip out when I tell you this. So listen, we freaking took, no, we didn't take anything, but we was smoking. Like she pre-rolled up this fat ass L, and we just vibed out and we was smoking. And I realized that I had just took shrooms right after we started smoking. And one thing they say is that, like, you know, tread lightly when it comes to mixing like weed and shrooms together. It can be a beautiful experience, but you want to kind of, you know, work your way up to that. You don't want to mix too many things at once, right? And I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm, you know, this is a micro dose, like it ain't gonna be that deep. I've already done shrooms about 3 times already before this, like it's cool. So after this meditation, I get up and I'm like, I gotta go home. Like on some crazy shit, y'all. I'm like, I gotta go home. And I do not advise to do this. They say never do this. Actually, never. There's not even they say, like, never ever fucking do this. Never get up and operate a vehicle under like the care of a plant medicine like shrooms. Never, never, never. I did the unspeakable, and I literally got into a car and I drove all the way home. And luckily the experience wasn't as crazy, it didn't really hit me as hard at the moment. It hit me, I was feeling it crazy, heavy, but it didn't hit me hard. Like there's a peak with shrooms. So, and the big shrooms go like this. When you take the shrooms, you kind of have like this plateau phase where you're like, where you kind of, you know, you're strapping yourself to the rocket, right? And then you like pressing all the buttons, you know, like think of it like a spaceship where it's like, you know, you just really pressing all those buttons, right? Or the spaceship is kind of like configuring itself. And at some point, the spaceship really just fucking launches itself into oblivion, like literally. And you kind of peak for a long time, and you're in space, and you're kind of just like in this whirlwind of like just weird, wacky, what the fuck is this? Like that's how it feels. And then you kind of, you know, you're brought back down to earth, right? So, or brought back down to whatever planet, you know, whatever. So I'm in the car, I get there and I get back home. Thank God. Whew, thank my ancestors, thank everything, thank the universe, thank myself for just being strong and knowing how to drive. Like, thank everything. Get into the crib, and then I try to lay down, and I'm laying down or whatnot, you know, and this is when when it blasts off. So I completely, literally, like, I go blind. Like, it kind of blinds me in a way where I can no longer, like, no, I can feel myself, but I can't really see anything. And it's just all of these vivid colors, and it's just all of this, like, you know, these shapes and just these geometric patterns. And it's also just like a lot of like what seemed like a lot of different I can't even really put this into words, and this is so bad, I'm so sorry, but it's like all of these different kind of static dots everywhere, and things would explode, and like, I don't know, it was very crazy. And then there was this kind of like black darkness for a long time, and that's when I realized, wow, my ego is literally dying. Like I'm literally, my soul is kind of leaving my body, kind of. I'm kind of having like a somewhat astral, to me it felt like I was astral projecting. I don't know what it was, but at some point I kind of could see myself like hovering above the bed, right? And they call this breaking through. When you break through, you kind of like, your ego completely dies and you literally can see your body, like your soul kind of leaves your body. Like I was at this point, and it wasn't really a terrifying thing, I realized that, and it was just like wow, like this is interesting, like that I'm even experiencing this, like this is crazy. Like I really, and I think that more of it was because of the meditation. I kind of was surrendering myself to the experience a lot, because I was just like, I was already in a meditative state. So I'm just like, you know, in this really like feeling like I'm just flying, like, and that's just a general feeling on shrooms, like the feeling that you can fly, like there's like you're kind of like a ghost. It's mad weird, but like I can understand why people jump off of like things. They tell you not to be next to like high shit, like all that stuff. So I'm just, you know, here for a couple of seconds, and it's very brief. And I know that a lot of times, I know on DMT, when they say you do DMT, you kind of can leave your body for a very long time, but or you're just kind of like in this kind of astral world for a very long time. Well, actually DMT is actually 5 minutes, but that's neither here nor there. But what I was experiencing was very brief, and I was outside of my body for a very brief moment. And then I think that I kind of realized it, and I was then kind of launched back into my body through this like hyperspace and through this realm of just like nothingness, and then it was vivid colors again, and then my eyes opened. And I realized that, damn, like what the fuck, where am I? I had this intense urge to use the bathroom. So I get up and I'm going to the bathroom, but it is completely hard to walk. It feels as if I am literally just like nothing. Like I'm literally like a noodles. Like I cannot walk at all. I get to the bathroom, and this is when I realized that this is some shit. I'm on some fucking shit right now. You know, everything became the hallway, like just before, moments before, I didn't notice, but the hallway, the walk felt so long, and there's not really a long walk from, you know, the room to the bathroom for me. And I get to the bathroom and the toilet is humongous. That's when I realized that I'm fucking tripping out. The toilet like a pool almost, like it, and spatially I just didn't understand certain things. Like the bed, I didn't understand how big the bed was. I didn't understand how long the hallway was. I didn't understand how big the toilet was. I could have been pissing on the floor for all I fucking know. And then I turn around and then look in the mirror, and everything went like to shit for me initially. Right, that first moment I was just like, whoa. Because you kind of see yourself in a different light. Like I suffer from like hypopigmentation, so I always look like I have like this weird like patches of like discoloration on my face. I can see that so prominently, and those shapes it just looked like my face was kind of like a puzzle, kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It just looked as if my face was kind of like a puzzle that could be opened or formed or whatever in any kind of way. It really made me just like wow, I really look like this. And the more you stare at yourself on shrooms, the creepier it fucking gets. Your face starts forming. At some point my head was like a cone. Like it was crazy. Like it was fucking crazy. So I decided that I would go back and lay down. I try to close my eyes, and I open them again. And I think I went through that for a good hour and a half until I realized that, oh, I'm supposed to actually stay up. Like, this shrooms is not putting me to sleep. I don't actually think you even sleep on shrooms. Like, this is not what I thought, like, was gonna happen. But, you know, I was like, okay, whatever. Fuck it. We're just gonna stay up and just lay here. And that was the decision to just lay there and be still was one of the most the best decisions I could have made for myself when it comes to the shroom experience. You know, because most of it was just the, you know, kind of feeling the first effects, you know, and the second part was kind of, you know, blasting off, and then the third was like, and a lot of people actually explain their shroom experience like this. The first half of it is really trippy, and then the second half of it is very spiritual. And I remember crying and laughing in the bed, thinking about my parents and like thinking about my own trauma and conceptualizing it in a way where I kind of like am really like spiritually soothing myself. And I would just burst into fucking laughter at certain moments, or cry, or giggle, or move around and move about. And then I had like this urge to get up and dance. And I got up, and guys, when I took the shrooms, it was about 8 o'clock, like 8 p.m. When I got the urge to dance, it was about 8 a.m. It was about 8 a.m. when like the blast off period was really like not that long, but time kind of really just dissipates on shrooms. Like you don't know where things end or begin. Like it is really crazy. I remember even just telling myself, like, when does the night stop? Like I was so confused. I was so tripped out that I thought that like the night never was going to end that day. Like I thought it was never going to turn into another day. But at 8 a.m. I decided to dance, and just dancing just was very, very, very freeing for me. Just moving my body and just really like, I can feel like my arms or whatnot kind of like, I can feel when things kind of like, when I made certain movements, how they kind of unlock certain parts of me. It's such a weird thing to think about, but yes, like I really felt like I was just freeing myself through dance. The sun was coming up, and I think that was attributing to like the way that, you know, the dances kind of felt. It felt kind of like a ritual, because I was praying for the light for so long, for a long time, for about 12 hours. I was just praying for the light, hoping that the darkness would leave, like, you know, just spiritually. And then I just started dancing when the light came. And then I remember towards kind of like the end, you know, the end of my trip, I took a long walk outside in the morning, and it really made me realize that, one, I miss walking. I miss the kind of the inner child like manner that, or the inner child like response, bodily response, mental response that we get from walking and just walking down the street. I think that as adults, we're so consistent with getting in a car all the time, and, you know, being ashamed of walking, and like not even wanting to walk certain places too. Like I actually just loved how I felt walking down the street, how the air felt on my skin, like how the trees looked just swaying in the morning, how, you know, even just, and it's crazy to say because I don't live in a necessarily nice looking place, like, you know, but things kind of, I felt the beauty of what things were. I found the beauty in what it was, and that was just that was really the interesting kind of like thing I was left with. It's like, find the beauty of what things are, no matter what. Just find the beauty in it, and always just hold on to the beauty of things, no matter what. Do not constantly, you know, destroy yourself because you're constantly thinking about the ugliness of things, or the uncomfortableness of things, or just the unnecessary neediness of things. Like just literally let it be beautiful. And that experience just really, I'd never expected. It's my accidental fucking heroic dose. An accidental heroic dose. Like I really took an accidental heroic dose, and it really, really taught me a lot. Like it taught me so much that I just decided that, you know, even afterwards, now that I'm even speaking about this, like I feel much more freer than I felt when before I took those shrooms. Much more like stress-free-ish, and much more kind of will lead myself on my spiritual journey. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like for me, I need a push when it comes to spiritual things, my spirituality and the way that I think about, you know, shadow work or therapy. And yeah, so with that, I think I'm going to end this video. I'm going to close it out right here. Thank you guys so much for just listening to me talk about how I accidentally took a heroic dose of shrooms. Yeah, I hope that this video is going to help a lot of you. I hope that it will help you with your journey, and help you with, you know, harm reduction as much as possible. And yeah, if you want to see more content like this, definitely hit that subscribe button. I got a lot of cool things coming up. I'm actually going to Puerto Rico soon, so there's a couple of videos that are going to be centered around that whole trip. But yeah, as always, guys, just be cool, be you, be yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.